This podcast is brought to you by Civic Plus. For all of our park and recreation pros, do you feel like you're constantly putting out fires? Registrations, facility bookings, team calendars, it's a nonstop juggling act serving your community. That is where Civic Plus comes in. Their comprehensive parks and recreation management solution streamlines everything, from online registration to facility scheduling and payments, all in one place. Parks and Recreation Management by Civic Plus automates the busy work that bogs you down, so you can spend less time on paperwork and more time creating unforgettable programs for your residents. Civic Plus is the trusted partner for thousands of high-performing civic leaders, helping them balance better services with limited resources. With over 25 years of experience and a team of 900 experts, Civic Plus powers over 10,000 organizations and touches 350 million lives every day. So if you're ready to train that bird out for impact, visit civicplus.com. The best run local governments run on Civic Plus technology.
Welcome to Season 5 of RecLess, the podcast making you smarter and more knowledgeable about the field of parks and recreation. Your hosts are Shane Mize, Jay Tryon, and Tom Venniro, three career-long friends from across the country bringing you a surprise guest each episode. Listen in on a great conversation, maybe take some notes, and definitely enjoy a couple of laughs. This is RecLess.
Welcome to the 85th episode of RecLess, podcast focusing on the industry of park and recreation through three close friends in different parts of the country. My name is Jay Tryon. I'm your host today, and we are in person. So we are sitting across the table from each other. We are live in Orlando, getting ready to kick off 2025 NRPA Conference Week. We've done this a few times, and it is exciting to be next to you guys. How's it going?
Good. We're here in Disney. We just got back from a nice lunch. Wine Bar George, Disney Springs. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I recommend it to anybody. If you come to Disney and go to Disney Springs, great place. But more importantly, I've been planning something since Melissa and I went to Disney about a month ago and then a couple weeks ago for FRPA. Got some Mickey Mouse ears, and we got Shane to wear 'em.
No.
Documented,
No.
photo,
Bullshit.
and videoed.
We have images.
Coming soon.
No.
So doing great. What about you, Shane?
Orlando's a fucking prison. This conference so far is starting out terribly. Walked a lot. I've got some calf cramps, and there's an alleged Mickey Mouse bombing on top of my head. So, man, it's been wonderful.
And it's been less than 24 hours.
I know.
So we have a long way to go.
Hashtag you're my Fernie.
I love Conference Week. I know we've talked a lot about conference in different episodes, and I know y'all love it as well. At least I know Tom does. Maybe Shane does. Sometimes I feel like he may not as much as us. But conference is different these years than what it might have been, when we were younger or, earlier in our career. And I just want to pose the question to you today is, what has shifted for you when you look back at maybe an earlier conference goal versus where you are today, 2025?
I think when I was obviously newer in the profession, I didn't know as many people. And I was going to conference because I think all of us were going to conference because I was trying to get some nugget, something I could steal and take back. Yeah. Now it's definitely more connection. I'm going to attend sessions, but as you progress in your career, you start getting opportunities to speak more. And I guess that's not always true because I think maybe young professionals are speaking, and I spoke as well. But we just talked to Maria. She's speaking 4 times and Tom's speaking 3 times. And it makes the conference less about trying to get some nugget. You're almost providing the content. I'm speaking twice. I think Jay's speaking twice. And so it's less about mining for something that I'm going to use when I get back and more about providing maybe some sort of nugget that someone else will use, right? So it's just you're on the other side of that service now. You're the one, hopefully you provide something that they're able to take back and use. And it's a connection. It's a connection with our YPN group. It's a connection with us. It's a great week to see all the people that you normally only see once a year and you reconnect with them.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if I if I have too many different thoughts, I would just add to that it's to your note about it's almost a little bit more performative than it is of being a observer
Yeah.
or a participant.
You're in the circus. You're not at the circus
Kind of,
anymore.
right? Yeah, that's a little bit what it feels like in a sense. And I think the podcast is also
Added to
added that.
Yeah.
Exactly what we're doing right now. We built this into a schedule. Maybe it's one of these episodes, maybe it's two of these episodes, and we have obviously the social or the meetup coming up tomorrow at Topgolf. We're again, that's not something we're just experiencing as a participant. We're throwing the party.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely that different add of, and I think obligation at these conferences, you always have obligations, and we talk about just showing up and being at as many functions as you can, because you might network, you might meet someone, or might have a conversation or learn something that you never knew you would if you didn't take the time to go somewhere. But to your point, you're throwing the party.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just enjoying it is a attendee, so to speak. So yeah. Jay, what do you think?
But to add to that about throwing the party, all three of us have received a different level of scholarships and externships awards and, opportunities to attend conference because of young professional opportunities. And now we're kind of flipping that script and providing that for people.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that I've thought about a lot this week and even last week going up to getting ready for this is, knowing that we're able to assist through RecLess to get people here and provide some financial assistance is awesome. And
It is.
I haven't seen the individuals yet that we're awarding those to, and I can't wait to see them.
Yeah.
Because I know they're excited, just hearing from them via email. So I would agree with everything else you guys said. I mean, I think
you have some service too. You're still, not only are you doing 2 sessions, you're serving on the program committee for one last time. So
yeah,
there's service opportunities there's work that you're actually having to do when you're here too. Yeah.
Yeah. And that, obviously there's a little bit of a meeting I got to go to shortly today, but then there's also some obligations, just making sure the speakers that you chose have everything they need to get ready. So I'll be kind of jumping around, do a lot of different sessions, making sure that they have everything they need resource wise. And, they're satisfied with the level of equipment they need and everything. So a lot of excitement, a lot of just connection that we're going to make, but it definitely shifts from maybe wanting to learn as much as you can to, help share that knowledge and passion over the years that we've been able to get that.
Yeah, we've talked about it before, but it's a little bit, there's people that attend the parade and there's people that put on the parade, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of this beautiful thing in your career, what you start out doing one and you get to do the other, but that's kind of where we're at right now is there's more curation on our part. We don't just to show up and just whatever happens. It'll be a really cool week. You've got responsibilities.
Let's transition to our guest who is patiently waiting in the hallway. We've been texting throughout the day, making sure they don't cross paths in the hallway as we get here. Today's guest is someone that we all do know. They
Could have told us that earlier.
work in a state that we have not had a guest yet that resides in this state.
Alaska.
Hawaii.
Good guesses.
No and no.
Arkansas.
Which I haven't even told you guys this. I booked a flight for Hawaii this week.
Did you?
We're taking a family vacation to Hawaii.
Like RecLess?
Yeah,
RecLess
thanks for
family
doing that.
vacation?
That is so exciting.
My
What date?
real
What if we
family.
showed
I
up?
understand. I took you guys to Disney and
Yeah.
okay.
What if we just had our
Hawaii's
villa
always
next
been
to his
on
villa?
our bucket list, and we finally pulled.
It's not even our family, it's just Tom and I, just sitting right next to y'all.
Okay, so this guest lives in a state we've never had a guest. They also were born and raised in New Hampshire. They don't live in New Hampshire right now, but they were born in New Hampshire. They are speaking this week at conference on Wednesday. And I don't know how much you guys read into the session titles. I'm going to tell you their session title, so maybe that'll give it away, but maybe it won't, because I think the title is actually very intriguing.
I don't even know our session title.
And it's called Show Up and Show Off, Making Your Agency Stand Out.
I like that title. It's catchy.
Okay. They are an alumni of Springfield College.
Oh boy.
Another
which
one.
we know someone else that has been on the podcast from Springfield.
Multiple.
Multiple. We've had multiple
Noons.
names.
I think Shane's just going to repeat everything I say at this point.
I'm just repeating what Tom says at this point.
Dramatic pause.
Hannah, leave all this. Leave it all.
My computer froze. I'm trying to go down to my next note. Anna, you're going to edit this.
It's like you, my phone never freezes.
Your phone never freezes?
No, does yours?
I don't know.
Man, this going off the rails.
Got it.
Go.
Our guest is also a 30 under 30 recipient.
Oh,
In the same year that they received a 30 under 30, they received an academy externship.
damn.
They're an avid hiker and most notably have completed several 4,000-foot hikes, and they've hiked in 6 countries. They also are a 5 a.m. CrossFit athlete now for 5 years. So they get up early and they are very active with CrossFit. Our
I
guest,
think I have an idea.
okay, I see it on your face coming together. Our guest once developed a youth camp in the English countryside for the YMCA. They previously served as the YPN chair.
Recently,
Any guesses?
I think I do it. And from that still in the Northeast area.
Yeah.
Connecticut.
Yeah.
Molly Keays.
Our guest is the director of Parks and Recreation for the town of South Windsor. Please welcome Molly Keays.
What's up?
How's it going?
Good, how are you
I
good?
literally was saying your name as you opened the door. Perfect time.
Perfect time.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Good to see you.
Hey,
Good to see you.
Oh,
Happy to have you here. Welcome.
I'm excited.
And Tom got the guess correct at my
Okay.
last hint.
I'd say,
So,
I'd
The
say Molly.
externship is a 30 under 30, and then the area
Yeah.
is what set me up. But then you said something about English
Countryside.
and I was like, well, I would what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That was
try
a
to
good
make
one.
them a little bit more difficult.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, there's some fun ones there.
Well, I feel like we've been very fortunate to have a lot of like Sterns and 30 under 30s
Yeah.
on this so far. So
Sure.
I'm like, all right, how can we, toss it up
Distinguish.
a little bit? Yeah.
I love it.
Well, welcome. We're going to dive into a lot of different topics, but, I've mentioned that your current role is, Director of Parks and Rec for South Windsor, Connecticut. Prior to that, you spent several years with the YMCA,
Yes.
which I think is common for a lot of people in our industry. I work for the YMCA. But what was that like transitioning from the Y to a local municipality?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a culture shock, to be honest. Like, the Y is very just mission heavy, right? Like they focus on youth development, social responsibility, health and wellness, and they don't really necessarily have too many politics that come into play. So I think the difference was, right, like you have a board with the Y, but I wasn't necessarily dealing with the board. And then I came into a role of Parks and Recreation, and all of a sudden I was dealing with my commission, the town council, and politics were a lot heavier because you're serving a whole community instead of just members that were in your Y there for a certain purpose. Like you're serving every single person there. So very different, but it's been a fun challenge.
Well, and then kind of like to piggyback off that, not only was that your first job, but your first job was director.
Yeah, yeah.
So like you
Yeah.
think about that and you're adding the topic of politics because you're just getting thrown into
Yeah.
it without having experience maybe at whether it's a program or supervisor manager level, having to deal with maybe a little politics, but you're just full blown into it.
Full blown. Yeah, that was a whirlwind. My first 6 months, I had to really, I want to say like refine and develop kind of my understanding of political acumen, and then also, what is important with the town and the community, and understand that I can't please everyone. So that was the other big one when it came down to the politics of it all. Because again, at the Y, I felt like, again, you were, heavy on the camp or the youth development or the healthy living, and they were all paying for their memberships. So you dealt with the politics of, I'm upset because I didn't get what I expected out of my program, or, my kid didn't have a good experience. But the politics in Parks and Rec and a director role is you're dealing with tournaments, you're dealing with trail development, you're dealing with
CIP projects.
CIP projects. Yeah. So that was
Different.
yeah. It's been a very interesting experience.
So it feels like we don't have a lot of people transition from the Y to Parks and Rec, but we do have some. There's
Yeah.
a percentage, 15, 20%. But I
Yeah.
feel like, and I may just be misreading this, but I feel like in a lot of ways it's a lot more East Coast folks that do that, and their Y specifically filled the role of Parks and Rec. Like
Correct.
in my city, we have a Y, but it doesn't fill the role of Parks and Rec. But in smaller Eastern coastal towns that don't have a fully strong Parks and Rec department or a rec center.
Well, I would agree with you because we didn't, and we've talked about this, like where I grew up in Buffalo, we didn't have a lot of local municipalities.
Yeah.
But we had probably 17 YMCAs within
Right.
30 minutes.
Right.
That's why I worked for the YMCA. I went there. That's where I did my swim lessons. I went to pre-K there. I did like a bunch of preschool camps there. I played soccer through the Y. because they didn't have local
Right.
rec centers.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So my Parks and Rec was non-existent in my hometown. Like they had the traditional like playground camp, right? So that's all they had was the playground camp, and then rec basketball, maybe rec softball, like very small programs, but it wasn't really existent. Whereas the Y was very strong. So that was again my childhood.
Yeah.
Was my Y, as I like to say, it was just like I got into it because of the camp director who gave me the opportunity to stay in camp when I couldn't afford it. That was my first experience learning how to swim. And it was just one of those things that I got hooked in at a young age, but I also didn't know what Parks and Rec could be because unfortunately a lot of the places didn't have strong parks and recreations, which I will say it is changing.
It's moving, yeah.
It's moving and it's going in a different direction. Whereas I feel like Parks and Rec is becoming a lot stronger, but down south in other parts of the country, Parks and Rec is like the main thing, right? Like you guys are serving the communities in such a huge way. And I really hope that New England adopts that a little bit more too and focuses on building out community centers, right? Building out
In
pieces.
some ways, maybe the Y was almost the first social service in
Yeah.
some ways.
Yeah.
On the East Coast,
Oh, if you look at the
the
history.
Young Man's Christian Association, it was whatever was needed at that time in that
Yeah.
community. And since the cities on the East Coast definitely predate all the
Yeah.
cities, obviously in this, as you go Midwest and all the
Yep.
way to the West, we were able to, like Pflugerville is 60 years old.
Right.
So
Yeah.
the Y was established, but also Parks and Rec was kind of an established thing by then. We kind of got to choose when we were building a city what we were going to put into, but the Y is going to predate a bunch of services that the rec departments would offer. And in those smaller towns, the Y is already doing it. So why would you even really fight the Y with that? They're already established in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of New England communities only have like one or two full-time people.
Because the Y is already robust there doing a lot of
Yeah.
stuff there.
So it is very difficult. But I will say in terms of like I grew up in New Hampshire, right? And New Hampshire is still pretty much all like 1, 2, 3 person departments. My uncle runs one of the larger ones in Exeter, New Hampshire, and he's still only have like 4 full-time people.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it's very different.
Yeah.
Very different.
I want to talk a little bit about that and maybe just have a question I'm going to pose it to Molly and Jay on this
Yeah.
one. But
Okay.
first of all, you're excluded.
Okay.
First of all, you said Pflugerville's 60 years old.
Yeah. We're hitting our 60th year.
So,
That's so
and
interesting.
you think about that, and I never really thought about that, but you probably could relate to this, Molly, because the Northeast is it's just a different history and the way that it was obviously settled and established. My town is 200 plus years old.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
200, and you're talking that's
Charlotte is
wild.
celebrating 250 this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Now,
That's amazing.
there were people in that Pflugerville area,
sure.
but they didn't incorporate till
Okay.
60 years ago. Yeah, it's a much younger town. And that just comes with its own set of issues,
Yeah.
good and bad, because things that other cities have learned, we're still in our infancy in some ways trying to learn those things.
So that wasn't my question. It was just a
Yeah.
fun fact. My question has to do with the YMCA a little bit. And we are a little different than Buffalo. Even though we're the city next to the next largest
Rochester.
city. Yes, Rochester is a little different than Buffalo.
Okay.
We have some YMCAs. There's, it's maybe 4 or 5 that are scattered throughout the city of Rochester. And obviously then there's county-wise, or not obviously, but we have a lot more municipalities. So there's 20 to 25 rec departments. What is something that you think from your time with the YMCA, what would you say would be a positive? And I say this because I think for some parks and rec professionals, YMCA is a bad word.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like
4-letter word.
hashtag earmuffs.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
but what does the Y have, or what did it do in your time and with them and your observations? And same, Jay,
Yeah.
that you would think would be a good transition to bring over to municipal recreation that we either can't do or don't do?
That's a really great question. I mean, I think, and I'm saying from a Northeast perspective too, right? They have done a really great job at actually living. And again, some municipalities do a really great job of this, but they live and breathe that mission, right? So they make sure that every single program and every single opportunity they have is going off of that mission, right? They don't stray away just to generate revenue, at least in my experience, right? And I think there's a balance there, and that's important. Like I've always been taught, no money, no mission, no mission, no money, right? Balancing out the importance of having programs that serve the community, that live their mission, but also understanding that you do need to have sponsorships or generate revenue, and trying to like constantly balance both of those. But they've done a really great job at that. And summer camp is one of the strongest things that the Y offers in terms of resident camp opportunities, day camp opportunities. I think they're extremely strong, at least in the Northeast, but that is because, right, like mountains, like they've had established residential camps. And I really wish that we would kind of focus a little bit more in on doing like full on great summer camp programs like that and buying open space and kind of conserving those and making that a traditional summer camp experience, because we are, for example, like we're ACA accredited, which is great, similar to the Y. However, we're still out in the schools, right? Or we're out in the playgrounds, and it's very different. And I think that nowadays it's so important for youth and even staff to get that outdoor education experience, right? Being out there in the woods, you're learning, you're able to truly be yourself. You develop new social skills, critical thinking skills, whether it's hiking and high and low rope course and archery. And a lot of those places don't have service, which is another great piece. But I think Wise have done a really great job with their camps specifically, outside of the mission piece.
There's something about what we do in government that we're convinced that we have to serve the bottomest group, the lowest need or income level up. And I don't know why that is, and I don't think it's good. I don't think that's a bad thing, but there are other folks that can come in and say, no, we're going to come in and we're going to do a residential camp. We're going to do an outdoor camp. We're going to do this other thing. And it's okay if the Y does it. It's okay if Boys and Girls Club does it. But if a city or an agency does it, we have some stigma that we have to get over in some capacity.
What's new? What's the tree tower course that Noons has in the Woodlands?
Tree experiences or something like that.
I don't think that's it at all. But anyhow,
it's called
either way, that's going and doing, I think, the non-traditional. And it almost feels like, and that was kind of where I was going with the question, is what is something that you wish you could bring over from the Y, right? And I think that's a great answer, because not only is it maybe, Shane, just what you were saying to the point of us trying to serve maybe from the bottom up. Also, it seems like there's a fear. Municipalities have a fear, whether it's liability, and a lot of them are very traditional. Your boards, no offense, are individuals who have been maybe in the communities for a long time. So
ventures.
Okay.
Does that help?
We have moved on from this. We're gonna fact find that afterwards. But thank you for interrupting the thought. So yes, it seems to be a stigma that municipalities are kind of afraid to get outside that box, whether it's liability or whatever that may be.
And you know what's also funny, and it's different between the Northeast and other parts of the country for like rec departments. So I talk to other professionals here, and they're always talking about their community centers, right? And they have spaces for their communities to go work out and do health and wellness classes. We're in an old school. Like, I'm renovating in the process of an old school, right? So we don't have actually that community hub for people to go to, right? Like, I'm offering programs that we can in our facility, but it's not one spot, right? We're all over the place. So we don't have this awesome dedicated outdoor space to summer camp. We don't have a community hub. We're all over the place. And I think that's the one thing I miss about the Y, right? Is like, we could get anyone in there. You know who's coming in there to go to water aerobics. You know who's doing the Zumba. You know who's going to be there at 10 a.m. for the free coffee every day. You know what I mean? You see those faces, and it's great to be able to go see that at events or pop into other programs. But it's so nice when it's like a community center and hub.
The thing about the Y is that a lot of cities or agencies or municipalities or communities will get behind the first CIP. Okay, so we'll do a bond for this Y. It'll be a $5 million bond, but we won't have to run it.
Right.
And so it's not that ongoing M&O cost of also, it costs us $1 million to build or $5 million to build, but it's $1 million a year for the next 20 years. And so I don't, and it seems to be that smaller cities on the East Coast are like, we've got a Y. We don't need someone to do that. We're not going to do a Y and a rec center.
Yeah.
That's the tough thing.
And that's a tough thing, right? Because I do think, like South Windsor, for example, we're 27,000 residents, closer to 28 probably now at this point. One of the top 10 places to live in the country. Great education system. They value Parks and Rec, but they don't want to increase their taxes. So they don't want that. You know what I mean? They keep asking for an indoor pool. They keep asking for more gym space, all this stuff. And I'm like, because their closest Y is 12 minutes away. They don't want to drive over there. They want to do it in our community. And I would love to do that. I'd love to have it.
I can solve every one of your problems.
Right. But we got to get the funding. Right. Exactly. So it's tough.
Yeah. And just to go back to your question, I think as I'm sitting here thinking about like my experiences, and if there's one thing that the Y has always done well, in my opinion, that we may not offer in Park and Rec is the childcare experience. So I don't know about where you guys live, but both growing up and in Charlotte, like when we were members of the Y, when Noah was a baby, like we would take him to the daycare at the Y so we could go take a fitness class or go to the gym to work out. Whereas like most traditional rec centers don't have childcare,
Yeah.
but the Y, I mean, they have a whole division. They bring in like actually educated employees that have childcare degrees, and that's like a huge part of their philosophy.
Yeah.
So that families and kids or parents can, actually use their facilities. So, and it's good for the kids too, because the kids are socializing with other kids that are maybe 2 or 3 or whatever age they are. So, but I know some, maybe more, it's the word I'm looking for, but like your massive rec centers might have that, but a traditional rec center is not going to have a childcare facility.
We'll have a kids zone area at our facility, and it'll be one of the bigger ones in the state. But the weird thing about it is it goes back to the idea that if I'm a resident and I paid for a bond and the Y runs it, I understand the Y has to make their nut. They have to hit cost recovery. And so I understand. But if I'm a resident, I paid for a bond and then the city's running it, I lose my mind if it's not subsidized, if my membership isn't subsidized. And so because of that, in some ways, what you do is you say, okay, well, we can't have 80 staff in this building with lifeguards and part-time staff. We're going to do 30 or 40. So you'll do a kid zone, but you'll do it 8 to 10, 3 to 8 at night. You don't do it all day. You kind of skimp on that versus the Y says, no, this is something we're going to put in. The tide's going to raise off boats. Everybody's membership is going to pay for these staff. Yeah. It's just, there's a mindset when you're a resident and you've bought it and the city's running it versus you're a resident and you bought it and the Y is running it or another nonprofit or third party's running it.
That's true.
There's also kind of a stigma too that there's some individuals out there that I just feel like they see or hear YMCA. They don't even know the mission or the vision, but they are YMCA people. And you couldn't pry them away from that even if you tried.
Well, the YMCA does a good job of when they come into a town, they get the city manager and the school board executive on their boards. And so it's a very political group that has a lot of power in that community as well, or at least that's been the case with the Y's I've experienced in Texas.
Well, I think most people that are involved or active at a Y have been Y people their whole life.
Yeah.
They're Y kids.
And their parents were,
Yeah. So I think it's funny too, when you say like they're Y lifers. I always thought that was going to be me because that was what I was set up to do, right? Like I went to Springfield College, very Y heavy focus. Like that's like why I went to Springfield College for the YMCA program. I went to conferences all over as a student. I took internships with YMCAs. And then you get in there and then you realize, I mean, at the end of the day, you're doing similar work, right? Like you are serving communities, you're doing youth development, you're doing health and wellness, you're doing operations.
You're not doing trails, not doing CIP though, right? I mean, it's
right. So like it's different there. It's different in certain pieces, but I'm like, wow, okay, like Parks and Rec, like I'm going to take my master's and learn a little bit more about what something else is outside of one nonprofit group, right? And when I learned, I'm like, wow, okay, so I don't need to be stuck in one organization. Yeah. But now that I've left, a lot of folks are like, I can't believe you left the Y, like, Parks and Rec.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. So there's a stigma on both sides, It's very interesting.
We'll be right back.
Hey, listener, just because the national conference is in our rearview mirror doesn't mean the RecLess sponsorship opportunities are. Every RecLess sponsorship opportunity goes to professional development for those who need it for state and national conferences. So if you know anyone interested in a mid-commercial episode like this one, sponsoring our social media or our website, please send them to recklesspod.com. That's recklesspod.com, and then have them click on the sponsorship tab for more info. Okay, now on with the show.
We gave the Y so much airtime that I believe it's time to change gears.
Okay.
We did, yeah.
Yeah. At the beginning of our episode today, Jay asked a really good question in how the experience of conferences changed for us. Mm-hmm. And so you have been in the profession for how many years now, Molly?
Yeah, so I've been in the profession in Parks and Rec for 5.5 years now.
Okay, so 5.5 years.
Yeah.
Probably feels like a lifetime, but at the same time, 5.5 years, it's fairly new in the profession. We talked about the 30 under 30, the externship, all of the success you've had, the YPN involvement. And part of that discussion we had about how the experience has changed is when you get to a point where you're either presenting or you have a podcast now that you're making an appearance or hosting or whatever it is, you're hosting the YPN social, whatever that is, you have now this more performative, you're a part of the show as opposed to being someone who is here just to attend and enjoy.
Yeah.
You were part of two presentations, as I see. Is that correct?
Actually in three.
Three?
So
Three? Okay. You said that beforehand.
yeah. So I think it's I'm on one on Thursday with Cassie and Max and
Okay.
Tabitha and Kim.
Okay.
The gang.
So you've got
the mafia.
YPN. Is it okay? This is conflicting, mafia or gang. So either way, you've got that,
Yep.
which was new to me from again what we talked about before. But also, I'm looking at your sessions, and Jay mentioned one of the sessions, which is the one I was actually going to ask. But when I typed
Wikipedia page.
yes, I'm at Molly's Wikipedia. That's how I do all this. The session that Jay told us about was show up and show off, making your agency's story stand out. What Jay did not tell us is that it was with the gentleman who we earlier said went also to Springfield College, and Chris Nunes.
Because I did not want, if I would have said
You didn't want to give
you
that
were
away.
presenting with another
Okay.
Springfield alum, you
Yeah.
might have gotten it.
Fair enough. So the second session, planning for the future, insights from emerging leaders shaping the future. So I just mentioned that you were with Chris Nunes, and that's a pretty heavy hitter to be presenting with. This one has another former guest, Neelay Bhatt, and then Hashim Taylor and Gabby Vera, a guest that we had. So that's some pretty impressive names, including yourself. Tell us a little bit about the sessions, and then maybe as a secondary, how did you prepare to get into these sessions? Are you comfortable with this? Is it something that you're getting outside of your comfort zone, or
You seem like a pretty cool cat.
I don't know about a cool cat.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm okay with public speaking. So I feel good in that sense. This is going to be new to me, national level, right? I've spoken at Connecticut Parks and Rec Association a couple times. I've spoken with Nunes on some online webinars. I've been very fortunate to be able to do that.
He's really bossy, isn't he? He's always screaming at us, telling us what to do.
Yeah, but he's really pushed me into it, and he's, told me to put myself out there and to get my name out and start to present on, my experiences. And it's been a good push because I typically would just come to the conference and just go learn, right, and network. But I'm going to take that risk and present at the national level. So, I'm excited for it. When it came down to the session, so Neelay asked Hashim, Gabby, and I if we wanted to talk on who we are as people, kind of like our career paths, and then some more vulnerable pieces about us, because every single one of us on that panel is a little bit different and we come in with different lenses. I'm very open about being part of the LGBTQ plus community, and I choose to lead authentically in that sense. And as you know, it can be a little bit difficult to come out in that space, right? And then we have, Gabby and Hashim who are coming in with different lenses and different experiences and different things they have to go through. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we're also going to talk about, as young professionals, what do we foresee the industry looking like in the next 10, 20, 30 years? And what are some things that we're doing in our agencies to kind of shape that forward motion? So it'll be a really cool in-depth session. So little emotions in there along with, yes, it'll be
Neelay's the authority.
Yeah, Neelay's deep. He likes
He'll
to
bring
do
it
the hard.
out, and is he gonna kind of act as almost like a host for
Yes.
that, or
Yeah.
you're kind of okay?
Yeah, so that'll be fun. And then Nunes, he asked me what we want to present on, and so we've done this session online before, and it's basically the importance of getting away just from the emotional appeal of Parks and Rec, but also using the data to tell your story in order to get decision makers and community members behind you to support you. So that's going to be a super cool session. Very excited for it. Was able to put some of our Connecticut stuff into that presentation too, which will be really nice because again, Northeast Parks and Rec doesn't necessarily get too many shout outs, and they do incredible work. So I wanted to highlight some of those agencies. But yeah, it's a great privilege between those presentations and then, getting to speak with you guys. And then I'm a buddy this year as well for the extern. Yeah. So, it's been really nice. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Conferences are getting a lot busier.
It's out of downtime in any second that you have. And just for the record, before you ask your next question, Nunes loves his data.
He does.
He is a data guy.
Data is king.
Yeah.
That's what. That's what he keeps saying.
So you've mentioned a couple people. We kind of joked about the YPN Mafia.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We don't want to say it wrong because we don't want to get clocked in the back of the head. We don't want to get on the wrong side of y'all or anything. But I heard Max was mentioned earlier, and we know Katie really well. We just had Gabby on, Cassie. We have our own group.
Yeah.
We have that connection. We have felt this enormous benefits from being all together and how we can lean on each other and play off each other and figure out ways to make each other better. And over the years, I think we really have seen all of us rise individually because of our collective group.
Yeah.
We see that with y'all. I mean, we see that is exactly what y'all's group's working on. In fact, Tom and Katie and John from our group are doing a session on kind of building a tribe or whatever. How did y'all's group really start to connect? And what's the benefit for those that maybe just come to conference, kind of superficially interact and leave and don't take the time to really dive into a group of people and build that tribe? What would you say how y'all met, and then why you say, no matter what happens, we're together, we're a group, we're going to hang out together, we're going to grow together, versus just someone that could just come in superficially, go a couple sessions and leave?
Yeah, I mean, I think they always say networking is important, and it is, right? For us, we came in Nashville. That was my first conference.
Crazy circumstances to come under.
Yeah, right?
Odds, right?
Yeah, odds. It was a different conference.
But then we all went to socials together.
Yes.
That was, it was definitely interesting. But we came in, and Kimberly and Tabitha were already connected through the academy. So they were connected through the academy. I knew no one, like 0 people walking into this conference. And I went to the YPN retreat, and then we all went out after to a social, and that's how I met Cassie and Max. So like those 2 were my first, like, all right, cool. Katie, Mac too. Get to know them, kind of chat with them. And I don't know how it happened, but we somehow connected to Kimberly and Tabitha like the next night. And then from there, we just had a lot of deep discussions, right? Like deep ones that you probably shouldn't be having at like midnight, 1 o'clock.
I think you have to get deep and vulnerable at some point.
Yeah, no, but I think it was like right off the rip, and it was like at 1 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? It was just one of those things. And yes, 100%, right? When it came down to the social piece. But then from then on, we just stayed in touch, and we would start to message each other when we had questions. We'd congratulate each other when life things were happening. And this group chat now goes off several times a week, right? And I know that I can rely on them. I can ask them anything. I could hop on a call with any of them. And it's really helped with the highs and lows, right? Because you have other people that you can bounce ideas off of and not have judgment. And then it somehow turned into 2 years ago, we started getting Airbnbs together and just coming in early. So that way we could do the catching up on personal life ahead of time. And then coming into conference, we're like, okay, we're caught up. Now we're going to, try to expand our network and meet some new people.
So if you were going to help someone recreate that, well, how would you know what I mean? Do you just be open to the opportunity that networking will happen and that you could get to know people? Don't be so standoffish.
Yeah, I think it's important to put yourself out there. I know, again, a lot of people are extroverts that are in the industry, but there obviously are some introverts. But it's important to intentionally say yes to just, chatting with people, grabbing a coffee and putting yourself out there. If you're just going to stand at the socials, go to the sessions, you're not going to make those meaningful connections. I mean, you can't force it. You're going to vibe with certain people. But if you put yourself out there a little bit like a young professional, and they go to the network meeting, they go to the social, any one of us who are outgoing will be like, hey, have you met this person? They're actually not far from you and 2 states over. Or like, hey, they're new in their career. They do athletics. It's a way that they can hopefully bond, but you're not going to do anything if you don't put yourself out there.
Couple just side thoughts off of that. First of all, it's so generationally fitting that you all get an Airbnb. I just think that's amazing, right? Because we come from this thought of you have to go get a hotel from the NRPA database or whatever it is. Why have we not done that before? Gotten an Airbnb. I mean,
I don't think
we shared a room before in Massachusetts, but we never.
What's funny is
That's not
there's
a real
been mentions of doing an Airbnb,
but not during conference. It was just
okay. Yeah, but it's just never happened, and it's only been the last like 2 years. Like someone threw it out there.
Yeah,
but it just didn't happen.
Never happened. Well, anyhow, so the other piece there I think is important to know is the retreat. Is that tonight?
Yes, it
So
is tonight.
the retreat, which obviously this comes out after the conference, but you kind of nailed it. The retreat was always, that's where I met, I think, Nate Jaramillo. You meet some people, and in that room of, say, whether the range is 40 or 95, whatever, how many people are in that room,
Yeah.
you sometimes you almost connect with someone.
Yeah.
You know what I
You
mean?
go out right after you do the retreat, and then you go out as a group.
Yeah.
Such a great place to start the connection. And then, of course, when you just know the comfort level, you know.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And what I believe is very important at these conferences, and I don't mean this in any negative way, but think about your day-to-day work. How many people do you talk to during the day? And again, that's assuming you're out, not just locked in your office and you're talking to your coworkers or you're talking to the public or an event, right?
Yeah.
It's always nice to have the safety blanket when you get home to talk to whoever that may be, your child, your partner, someone that you can be a little more vulnerable with and deeper with. I think that holds true for this conference.
Yeah.
I love talking to everybody, but it is pretty important to me at the end of the day or at certain points in the day to mix in with, you guys or individuals that there's a comfort level. It's a safety blanket to an extent where you can kind of let down, right? Let your guard down, so to speak. So
yeah, no, I think it's super important for folks, if they don't know anyone, it's just to be able to go into, like, for example, young professional, the network meeting, that retreat, or if you're able to be like, okay, I know, Jay is from same association, whatever, maybe I can link up with him and then he can introduce me to some folks. And it's just really important that you're able to kind of get that launching pad. And YPN's done a great job at it. I mean, if I did not meet those people in Nashville, I would have felt a heck of a lot more lonely over the last several years, because being a young director is pretty lonely sometimes. And they've really created that family that, again, you can come back to. So,
well, I also wonder if you didn't make those connections, are you and everyone else that's in that group really fighting to come to conference every year?
Right.
Because obviously, you still want to come because you want to get the experiences of sessions, but there's an added benefit and bonus to reconnect with people that you might have met last year or the year before, or build that friendship even deeper.
Yeah.
And, in some cases, I know we've talked about it, a lot of young people are actually paying their own way to do it. And if you don't have those connections, maybe you don't have that drive to be like, man, I got to pay for it this year. I'm going to wait and go until it's not go back to Hubbard.
I got to pay for it this year, but I really want to hang out with, I want to have the opportunity and share the time with everybody but Shane.
So it's interesting when you say that too. A good friend of mine, Jordy, is in Connecticut. Jordy. He's paid his own way several times because he, the sessions. Yes, he loved that, but he did not understand how incredible the national experience was, especially with the Young Professional Network, until he got there. Dallas was the first one. And he has just said to me, he's like, I will continue to pay my own way if I have to, because I value these connections that I'm making.
Our scholarship people this year.
I was partnered with Jordy for the mentorship program the Academy runs 3 years ago. The year, I think, leading up to Dallas. And I it was either the year before that or the year leading up. Either way, never forget the opening LSI social was at some kind of, it was that there was a band, I believe, and there was an outdoor deck area. Do you guys remember that? There was a hidden wall. Anyway, cool place in Dallas, very Texas type of atmosphere there.
Careful.
Yes. And honestly, when he walked in the door, whatever he had experienced that Monday up until that moment, his excitement, I just knew he was hooked. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so that's a wonderful thing. And it takes sometimes just to get there and to have a connection.
And so his experiences were only the Connecticut conference, which is very different to a national conference, right? You only got maybe 500 people, maybe 700 at a Connecticut conference. So very different. So it was just incredible to see his reactions and that energy. And because him and I started the Connecticut Young Professional Network together. So that's how we knew each other. So it was really nice. And it's really cool when you get to see people experience conference for the first time and that hook.
Yeah. Yeah, it is special. Is he here yet? I gotta.
Yeah, he's here. Oh, yeah.
Well, one of the hints that I gave when we were going through the guest was your 30 under 30.
Yep.
In the article that you were mentioned for 30 under 30, it talked about you being able to get over $1.5 million in grants for park infrastructure. How has that impacted your community? What does that look like for future projects that you were able to accomplish because of that? And how did that grow your town?
Yeah, so the 6.2 mile crosstown trail was the big first project that I started working on when I came into South Windsor. And that purpose was, so Connecticut does a really great job at greenways and rails to trail, kind of like rec programs. And a lot of the communities are connected now. But we didn't have any of that connection. And South Windsor is not very walkable, right? A lot of busy streets. So we thought that would be a great starting point. We would go from one side of the community to the other, and we would actually connect to the surrounding communities and continue on that bike path. And it would also make it just safer, easier access for them to get to the parks, to get to actually the center of town, so the library, town hall, one of the grocery stores, which is neat. And we've been chipping away at this rec trails grant. Trail development is difficult. It takes time, especially when you are budding folks that don't necessarily want trails in their backyard. So it's been a multi-year process. But yeah, so we were able to fund with a smaller, I think it was like $500,000 a design was the first piece. And then we were able to secure now about $2 million worth of grant funding just to get 2 miles done.
As I say, in Texas, $2 million doesn't go too far on concrete.
It does not, no. And so we still have quite a bit of work to do. We're actually in the process of applying for our next one, right?
Okay.
But folks are excited, right? They
The
start to see
succession's
it.
got to be helping.
Yeah.
And with the grants and stuff too, like
Yeah.
now that there's something visually people can see in the impact,
Yep.
I'm sure it makes grants a little easier.
Yeah, so it's been great. And so we were able to secure that and work on that. And then I've been just chipping away at grants just to start getting some other stuff done on our
You
master
have data
plans.
collection, whether it's trail counters or placer or something that is using to show the impact?
So no, we
Yeah.
want to invest in one of those. We've done some demos, but the budget does not allow it at this point in time. Yeah. Yeah. But again, it's really important to just talk to folks again, like this is going to benefit you, and just really talk about, who's going to be able to use the trail. And I think what's important to note too is all of the projects that we've been doing are inclusive, right? And they're
Mhm.
ADA accessible. And I think the community has a lot of things that aren't right now. So people that are really excited for it are also really pushing for these projects.
In the absence of data, are you leaning heavily into like testimonials and people
Yeah.
talking about the impact that 2 miles has had so far?
Yeah. And then I'm also leaning into like the data from the towns surrounding us too,
Oh,
that
yeah.
have similar trails.
Gotcha.
Because a lot of our residents do use those. So,
And they got them there, so why can't we have them here?
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are excited. Like, that's one of the bigger projects. We have several other projects that we've completed in the last 5 years through, again, CIP, sponsorships, fundraising. So it's been good.
Now, we talked about your sessions that you're doing here. What about other sessions that you're looking forward to seeing? I know this is going to air after, but
Yeah.
are there speakers that you're lined up to see and that you're either looking forward to seeing for the first time, or is there a name that you always look to when you go to a conference?
Well, I don't think I look at for one name in particular. I try to look for my gaps and what I need to learn.
Yeah.
So there are, several that are on parks. So for me, like I'm more heavy rack right now, and I need to really refine my skills when it comes down to parks. So I've been looking at some of the parks one. There's a funny session title. I'm gonna blank the name of it right now, but it has something to do with pigs.
Mhm.
And it's like talking about park benches and pigs.
Okay.
So that's one of the ones that I plan on attending. I think that's gonna really help with some of those skills. Chris Noons is doing one on political acumen and basically how to navigate politics. And I think that's a huge one.
But you could probably just ask him to do
I
that.
could. I could ask
You could
him.
skip that then.
I could personally ask him to. I'm not sure that he would want to sit through it with me, but I'm sure he probably would if I asked him. I think it's just important for folks. There's obviously the heavy hitters like Neela, folks like that everyone's like, yeah, I got to go to those sessions. I lean towards it, like whatever I need to learn still,
There's a lot of great sessions at conference. That's a great.
There's so many, there's so many great sessions
then
that
there's-
you guys are
I would say
presenting.
then there's the one no one will go to.
Well,
Well, you guys are
There's
presenting, you guys have a
definitely
couple
still,
different presentations, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's important to note. And
But I actually loved your viewpoint of like what you want to see, because this is where you and I,
Yeah.
Shane, differ.
Mhm.
Is like I've always done that of like, okay, I'm a programmer, I'm going to go to sessions about park planning or about aquatics, just
Yeah.
because you know what, one day I may need to know that. And right now
Yeah.
in my career path, I didn't have that experience. So like I was always pursuing different things than what I do in my day-to-day job.
Yeah.
Where I know you talked about like, I want to be the best.
Yeah,
It's hard.
Jay and I differ. That's a shot.
I'm in the middle on that too, because it's hard. I think it depends on your position.
Yeah.
I think someone in a director's role has a lot more leniency and maybe even expectance to go out and learn new skills. Whereas if I'm hiring Jay to be my special events coordinator, I want you to learn and be better about special events.
But if
to
I'm
an
a
extent,
special
if
event
that makes
coordinator
sense.
They're
right
wanting to
now,
round themselves out.
if I'm a special event coordinator right now, but that's not what I want to be in 3 years, I want to go to those sessions that I want to be in 3 years or 2 years or 1 year. So
There's a balance.
yeah.
My thing is, I don't have to be well-rounded. My team has to be well-rounded. I like to hyper-focus on my strengths. I like my team to hyper-focus on theirs. And when I talk about strengths, I'm talking about pursuits. Strengths are things that strengthen you, not things you're good at necessarily.
Right.
I've always felt that's the best and clearest and easiest pathway to excellence is if everyone in your team is hyper-focused on what they're doing well. And as a team, you're well-rounded.
Yeah.
You can't all be wonders. Then you have no one to get any shit done. And I've had that in the past. I've hired that way and been like, oh, that's the problem. I'm not hiring a well-rounded team. But if I have a well-rounded team and they're hyper-focused on the things that they do well and they're refining and getting even better at it, and we can hire for their weaknesses and hire for my weaknesses, the pathway to excellence for me and the way I lead is much simpler and straighter than a bunch of people well-rounded, like a jack of all trades, master of
Yeah.
none. I feel like that's a really good department. That always is just a really good department. That's all. It's been my thought process on it.
And I think it's interesting, like my
You don't like
staff, my staff are passionate in their program areas. And I will say that, right? Like we have specifically like an athletics person, aquatics person, before and after school, preschool person, right? And I will send them to specific trainings, but I do encourage them again to get some of their gaps, right? Some things that they don't have any experience in, just in case that this is not their forever job, right? You always want people to be more successful, learn new things so they can try new positions. I hate to lose a good employee, but at the same time, you want them to be
Want them to
successful.
grow.
I've got no problem with someone if they're a rec programmer, but they want to be a park
Yeah.
superintendent, going to park sessions.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yep.
If
But-
they're a rec programmer and they think, man, there's this really good camp session, but
Yeah.
I want to be better at parks, so I'm going to go here. That's always driven me insane. I know Jay and I differ on that. But
Yeah.
like,
No, and I think there's balance.
sharpen the sword.
There's
And
balance.
you said it, like
Yeah.
if I have like program staff here, like I don't want them to go to every program session. I want them to have variety because they need to look ahead to what else they want to do.
Yeah.
They need to look at, other opportunities that they may not even know they have a passion for until they see someone speaking on that topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's gotta be
There's a
balance.
balance.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would never tell someone, oh, don't go to any sessions on what your day-to-day is, but like, don't only go to those types of
Right.
sessions.
No, I agree.
Well, you're going to find some people that are just okay with only being a rec programmer, and that's all right too. We don't
Yep.
have.
I agree.
I don't know where we've gotten where everyone feels like we've got to develop 15 directors from your 15 current staff.
No,
Like,
and
No.
get to where there's
to where you
there's a
wanna go.
beauty in someone saying, you know what, I don't want to be more
Yeah.
than a rec superintendent. I like this job, and
Yeah.
I don't.
I agree.
Even if people say, you know what, the director position's open, you've been a rec superintendent for 5 or 10 years,
Yeah.
and everyone likes you, we'd like to promote you up to, and them saying, you know what, no,
Yeah.
I don't want to do badly at that job. I like doing what I'm doing at this job. I don't like the political stuff, or I'm not budget centric, whatever it is.
Yeah.
There is a beauty in people finding where they want to be and being fucking amazing at doing that job.
Because they're passionate about
Yeah.
it, right?
yeah,
Exactly.
we had a lot of that in Mecklenburg County because obviously it's a huge department.
Yeah, people probably pop out.
I had recreation specialists that were in a rec role for 25 years.
Yeah.
And they never had any desire to go to the next level. And they were great programmers, and that's what made
And
them
then
happy.
and that
That's totally
mindset,
fine.
going to a park session only benefits them if they were
Yeah.
interested in that park session
Correct.
that day. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I don't know enough about parks and I want to do it, but don't skip a session you're interested in
Yep.
because it's parks and I've got to be more well-rounded. I hate that concept.
Oh, I agree.
Well, Molly, I'm going to switch gears and do some round robin quick questions for you.
Gotcha.
And in the intro, I did some topics about you being straight New Englanders, what you said in both your emails, and I just know like through and through, that's what
Yeah.
you said.
Yeah.
I think, my wife's from Maine. I've spent a lot of time up there and,
Yeah.
and time in the Boston area. There's some really awesome, quaint little small towns. I've never been to Connecticut, but outside of where you work, because that's
Yeah.
an easy answer. What's like a really neat, if I want to go to New England area and go visit a small town and just get a weekend away, where would I go?
Yeah. Small town weekend. So Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
I think I've heard of
Wonderful.
that.
Portsmouth, New
Yeah,
Hampshire is
yes.
awesome. It's right on the coast. A great blend of parks and shops and fun things to do. Outdoor theater. That or Kennebunk. I love Kennebunk, Maine. Those are like the two tried and true, like smaller places.
Beach there, right?
Beach there.
across, yeah.
Beach. There's walks.
How far is that from Portland?
Kennebunk, only like 40 minutes. Yeah. it's
My
really
daughter
not too
moved to
bad.
Portland about a year ago.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah.
Fantastic.
She's
Yeah.
enjoying Maine. Loves it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm Portland Sea Dogs. It's the Red Sox affiliate. I have the hat with me.
Oh, nice.
I was
Yeah.
there in June when I went for a wedding. We went to a game.
It's awesome. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Can't beat it. No, I love New England.
Minor league team names are awesome. Northeast.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm first of all, this time of year, now that we're
You're
starting to
not
go
going
into
to
the
the Patriots.
fall, we can. If you want to talk Patriots, are you a Patriots?
Just the Brady.
Yeah, of course, I'm Patriot.
There you go.
Yeah. Again, New England through and through. Yeah. Yeah.
So Northeast, I think about this time of year in Western New York, the fall is beautiful.
Yeah.
In Northeast, where you are, I just picture Halloween movies and the fall. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
think of, small towns.
Yeah.
And it's just beautiful. So I'm just saying that for people out there. But in your community, where would you have us come and visit and eat? Just curious. What's your go-to for dinner?
A culinary tour with Molly. Is that the
Ooh.
question?
Yeah,
In the town that I work in.
sure. Let's go.
Oh, I was
down.
thinking the town that I work in.
Or somewhere.
Yeah. Somewhere in the area.
Where you're traveling an
Yeah.
hour or so. Somewhere.
Yeah, no. So I live in a town in Massachusetts, right on the border of Connecticut. Fantastic places to eat in Northampton, Massachusetts. So the go-to there is Spoletos. It's really great Italian
Yeah.
food. Yeah, but it's outdoor. And they actually have a Mexican restaurant they own as well. So great margaritas next door to that. There's a really good Osaka for sushi. And then there's a wood fire pizza place. So it's just like you get a tour. Yeah, you get a tour and bounce. And then, espresso martinis at the tunnel bar.
Oh.
Great way to end the night. And it's in an actual tunnel. It's great,
So my question, I want to hear more about this English countryside.
Yeah. So I worked in Derbyshire, England
How long?
for a summer, just summer, like 6 months. So the Y out there needed a summer camp to
Was it a
be
work
creative.
permit or how'd you?
Yeah, so it was. So I worked. They never had summer camps because there they focus on health and wellness. It's like their big piece there, and also focus on like homelessness. So it's like their two big key things. And they were like, "Hey, you do summer camps really well. We'd love to have you create the first resident camp out here." So I did that.
You had to not do a summer camp in the summer you were doing it, I guess, right? Is that right? Where you
Is
were
it the
doing it
same
somewhere?
season or is it?
So I was doing summer camp, but I was doing the developmental phase, and it was like the launching of it.
Gotcha.
So I had to go through like starting a summer camp up from scratch, which was cool. And it was like an old wooded property.
Really?
They had tents, and I'm like, all right, this is gonna be interesting. It's not cabins, it was tents. But I got to be in the English countryside, which was neat.
You connected any of those kids still that you?
So I'm actually connected. So I actually stay with the family for a good portion of it. That was local. So I stay in touch with them, and they're fantastic. Their daughter was like 8 the summer that I lived there, so she's a teenager now.
They
So
still old?
yeah, it does make me feel old. And then I want her. I'm like, come study abroad and come stay, in Massachusetts, and
Fun.
it'd be fun. Yeah, but living in England was so cool. Growing up from a small town, just to go to another country for the first time, living in, someplace new by myself, navigating just the small cultural differences.
Yeah.
Yeah, the negative though.
Outside the-
Yeah, the negative though was rained every day.
Yeah.
So I came back more pale than I ever would in the summer, you know what I mean? And everyone's like, "Oh, where were you?" But it was cool, and you get to go to such neat hiking spots and travel
My
over
wife
Europe.
wants to do a year in England.
A year.
Yeah.
A year,
When we
wow.
Why
retired,
don't you start with like a month? See how that goes.
Yeah, a week. Yeah, a week.
we drove here. We're all in people. Like if we're going somewhere, we're staying a while.
But I don't know if Parks and Rec's not really a thing there.
It's not.
It's
Which is
not.
interesting.
To your
Yeah.
point of like the health and wellness, when I spent not much time over there, but in London, Florence, Rome,
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
and Paris, and to what they say about health or wellness, it's
That's what Brad
they're
did.
parks
Yeah.
that people just they
Yeah.
go and they picnic and they
It's
you
almost
don't
like town plazas or something.
yes, they're all over the place. You don't see just organized soccer games, which is ironic because soccer is such a huge,
Yeah.
or football is such a huge sport over there. But it's just not what I thought when I was told. And we were doing some walks, like, oh, we're going to go to this giant park,
Yeah.
Windsor, or I don't know, Windsor Garden or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like this isn't the park that I know. You know what I mean? It's nothing like that. But people are alive and they're loving it, and
Yeah.
it's just different.
They're just enjoying the outdoors. Yeah. And I think like in Europe, it's very different in the sense of like they walk everywhere
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
just view health
Bike.
and wellness very different. Yeah, they bike everywhere, they hike a lot.
The gentleman that Max replaced in Fort Worth,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the right after him or the person he replaced after that person, but the role he's in now, the guy that was there when I was in Fort Worth 20 years ago, had come over from England because his wife had gotten a job over here. And he was the district superintendent of Parks and Rec. And I was asking him what Parks and Rec were over there. And he ran a pub and a group of soccer fields behind the pub. And that was his Parks and Rec.
That's funny.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And one of my staff is from Ireland. He just came over 7 years ago. Significant other. That's why he moved here. And his version of like recreation was all like coaching and athletics based. So he's doing aquatics for us now because he's, gotten into that. He's like, it's so weird here. So different. I'm like, yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Well, Molly, thank you
Yeah.
for joining us today, and looking
Well, thank
forward
you.
to seeing your sessions this week and
you.
making sure that we can continue to stay connected.
Yeah, I
This is
appreciate
great.
the opportunity.
Molly.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing your sessions.
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. I've always been impressed with her.
I agree.
When I talk to her, I said
Yeah,
she's
she's
a cool
great.
cat. I think she's a cool cat. You never see her, whatever situation. You see a lot of young professionals who come to this conference and they're in awe of someone or something, and they're potentially overwhelmed. I'm sure we're all thinking of young professionals when we're saying that, but that's never seemed like her. Anytime I've interacted with her, she seems like a very cool, calm customer, and I bet she leads that way as well. We didn't really get a chance to talk about that much, but she's an incredibly thoughtful and thorough leader for sure.
Yes, she's got some great concepts, and I've enjoyed all the times I've seen her speak, and not just at like sessions, but even just like leading, whether it's the little webinars or just like group of folks like on a call through YPN.
Sure, there was no stammers. There was no, no pauses to think things. She just
No, she's smooth.
Yeah.
I say this enough, or I can't say this enough, I should say, about our podcast,
No, you said it too much.
that I like it, that I enjoy it. That's what I was really going to say. I believe that what we're doing sometimes, we're at conference right now. We have conversations with people that we see for a moment.
Yeah.
Because we run into them. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but the typical start to a conversation is, how is everything? How are your kids? This was an awesome conversation.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up is we've known Molly for a few years, but I've never had a conversation on that level.
No, me neither.
No. And I'm glad this podcast provides us the opportunity to do things like that.
Absolutely.
And I wish we could do it in person more often.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Maybe not.
Zoom's fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll do it in person.
Yeah, that's cool.
Once a year is good.
Well, that wraps up another episode. See you guys. Thank you.
All right. Nice work, Jay. Bye, everyone.
Next time.
This episode of RecLess wouldn't have been possible without the support of our agencies and our better halves, Melissa Salatino, Lindsay Tryon, and our executive producer, Hannah Mize. We also want to thank our director of hashtags and swag, Rooney Taylor, and our team of junior producers, Luke, James, Elizabeth, Grant, and Harper. Stay up to date on all things RecLess by following all of our social media, and like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast to ensure you don't miss an episode. See you next time on RecLess.